The terrible towel, the single most recognizable sports icon ever created for the fan. It all started in 1975, 50 years ago. The idea, some called it a gimmick, was the brainchild of the legendary broadcaster Merril Hoge.
Oh, it is not a good luck charm, mind you. It is a force. It gives the Steelers tremendous strength. It is not a curse on the opponent, but if need be, it will pose mysterious difficulties for the opponent.
Cope would later credit Hall of Famer Lynn Swann with making the towel popular after Swann famously ran out waving the towel for the AFC Championship game against the Oilers.
We got the best offense, the best defense, the best QB, the best running back, the best everything, best coaching staff, best front office, and we got the terrible towel.
Terrible towel. What more do we need?
It's now seen in Pittsburgh, across the country, and around the world.
Terrible towels in attendance. They were making a lot of noise pregame and equally loud now.
Even out of this world, it represents a nation.
See thousands upon thousands of terrible towels waving out in those stands today. The terrible towel is poised to strike. So are the Steelers.
Here we go. This pass is caught, and that's a touchdown. That's the way to work. Come on. He's hit that sack. The Steelers win the football game. Let's go. Come get it. You know what it is.
This one is in the history books.
Here we go.
Welcome to the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show. I'm Missy Matthews. The Steelers' quest to change history in Chicago fell short last Sunday as they lost for the third time this season after having the lead at halftime. For more on what went wrong to lead the Steelers to an all-time record of 1-13 in the Windy City, let's welcome in Bob Pompeani, who's standing by with Coach Tomlin. Bob.
Hey, Missy, thanks very much. Getting set for a big matchup with the Buffalo Bills. But before we talk about that, head coach Mike Tomlin here talking about Chicago, and that was a game you led at halftime. From your perspective, looking back at what you know now, what were some of the problems in the second half that led to that loss?
We didn't get off to a fluid start to start the half offensively. We deferred and got the ball to start the second half. We punted a couple times. We got sacked, fumbled, and so really we were working uphill from there. It was more about the start of the second half for us offensively and taking too long to find our rhythm in the game where you're playing good on good. And ultimately, it's not one particular thing. It's a lot of things. And so that's one of the points I made to the team. We had a lot of ways that we could have won that game, certainly. We took the ball away from them defensively, but we also had some takeaway opportunities that didn't come to fruition as well. In the kicking game, I thought our punting could have been better, particularly situational punting. We had a 33-yarder at a critical time in the game. I thought their kicker was outstanding in terms of kicking dirty balls in the kickoff game and really limiting us in terms of start of possession, field position. And so, whether it's offense, defense, or special teams, I thought we had several opportunities to win the game. Certainly we made plays in all three phases, but the things that stick out are some of the things that I mentioned.
Critique Mason Rudolph's performance. It looked like, underneath he was really good, 23-24, but down the field, 1 for 6. What was the difference down the field, and what was he missing?
He largely is good down to the field. That's always been one of the signatures of his game, but he certainly didn't have it in different instances on last Sunday. He sailed one out of bounds when we had Roman running behind someone. He undershot DK, second play of the game for an interception. Certainly those aren't high percentage passes, but that is an asset to his game. I know he expects to be really good in that area. We expect him to. We didn't connect on enough of those, as you mentioned, down the grass.
You had some very interesting fourth down situations. 2 tush pushes, one you went for a touchdown. I'll get into that in a minute because I thought it was a great play call and design. But the first one, it looked like you had the first down yardage. It wasn't called that way. And I'm just curious how a replay assist works. When you guys have it, it's available. Would that come into play in that kind of situation with ball mark?
Potentially. If they see clear evidence of, we certainly have the challenge flag in our hip pocket. You just don't win a lot of those. That was a change of possession, and so it was reviewed automatically. And so even if it was challengeable, I probably wouldn't. The judgment component of forward progress under those circumstances, and then not afforded the audio relative to the whistle in those booths. And so I certainly thought we had enough push there to get beyond the line of the game, but they made the call that they made. Singular plays don't ultimately decide the outcome of the game. We knew we had that, alternative to the tush push in our hip pocket, and I think the very next time we were in those circumstances, we went back to it.
Talk about that play. That was a really nice play, 55 yards. Seemed to catch them completely off guard. Just the nature of making a call like that when you do it, especially you just showed them one thing and you came back with a sequence of another.
I think really the coolest component of it is the fact that it was right before halftime and they called timeout. And so they really gave us the indication of what they were anticipating, because as a team potentially ready to receive the punt, they called timeout in an effort to preserve time. And that really acted as a catalyst for us to, catch them a little bit less than ready, at least situationally. Certainly, we've had some success. We're one of the best short yardage teams at 3rd and 2 or less in the NFL. And so we have a reputation there, whether it's the tush push or related things or just our interior run game. We've been very successful in 3rd and 2 or less. And we played on that reputation at that moment and got a big play and put us down in scoring territory.
You did get a sack, sack, and a fumble recovery in the end zone, but that was it as far as sacks are concerned. You didn't get as much pressure as I'm sure you would have liked on Caleb Williams. He ran the ball for only 21 yards on 4 tries, but largely he didn't use that to his advantage. What was it about down the field game that made it successful for him, and what you guys weren't doing necessarily?
They didn't take a long time to throw. The plays that were quote-unquote downfield were rhythm play passes. He was turning around and throwing. They were the 15 to 18-yard variety. It wasn't the things that required 3-point-plus seconds. We did a nice job minimizing their run game and Swift, and certainly Caleb is a component of that, and we minimized some of that. It was a big splash play for us, but certainly would have liked more opportunities. Oftentimes the game circumstances dictate that, and as I mentioned, we started slow in the second half and kind of minimized some of those ones that really come to fruition as the attrition component of the game becomes a major factor in the latter part of the 3rd and 4th quarter.
All right, Coach, thanks very much. Steelers are 6-5, taking on a 7-4 Buffalo Bills team. It is a real logjam in the AFC. We'll talk about that and the Bills coming up a little bit later. Missy, let's head back to you.
All right, thanks, Bob. No doubt on that. And I think Cam Hayward said it best following the loss to the Bears. The hourglass is going and the sand is following through, so the Steelers need to clean things up ASAP. And one bright spot last weekend in Chicago was TJ Watt's strip sack of Caleb Williams. It marked his 115th career sack, passing older brother JJ, who finished his NFL career with 114 QB takedowns. The Watt family was on hand to witness TJ take over the family all-time sack record, even JJ, who was calling the game on CBS. The 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show will be right back.
Welcome back to the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show.
Despite owning the Bears with a 24-5 all-time record, Aaron Rodgers had to watch from the sideline last week in Chicago. The Steelers weren't able to leave Soldier Field with a victory, but they do need to get back into the win column against the Bills. For more on this AFC matchup, let's send it back to Bob and Coach. Guys.
Missy, thanks very much. Aaron Rodgers missed last week. Coaches talk about his availability this week. A big game at home against Buffalo, and I'm sure he's anxious to play in those kinds of games.
He is, man. He pressed big time in an effort to get back to us last week, and that makes us really optimistic about his inclusion in the game this weekend.
This game, like a lot of games in the AFC, the NFL loves parity, whatever you want to call it. It makes a lot of teams fighting for spots. They're a second-place team looking at a wild card spot. They need wins. You guys need wins. Is that what the NFL wants on a weekly basis? Because it seems like we get this every year, which makes for very competitive football.
It's no question. All you have to do is look at the global scheduling, and you see an emphasis on races and positioning. A lot of people have weighted divisional games at the latter part of the season. They have flex schedules in an effort to put the significant games in front of the fans. I just think it's really thoughtful and a really good thing for football lovers and a good thing for the game of football. These games are so significant that the races are so tight. I know it's fun and challenging to be a component of it, and I'm excited about playing this good football team this weekend.
And it all starts with Josh Allen, who has 18 touchdown passes, but also 10 rushing touchdowns. There was a game a couple of weeks ago, he accounted for all 6. Biggest point of emphasis when it comes to trying to defend him?
Possession down play and his competitive spirit. They are one of the best possession down units in football, and they have been. And certainly they do solid things schematically, but it is the talent and will of Josh Allen. He can get you with his arm under those circumstances through play extension and just general arm talent. He can get you with his legs, as you mentioned. I think he's got 10 touchdowns on the season, and if I'm not correct, he may have just passed Cam Newton as the NFL's all-time touchdown scorer via the ground for quarterbacks, and so that speaks to his body of work. You got an all-day job trying to defeat Josh Allen. You particularly have an all-day job when there's line-to-game football, possession football, 2-minute football. His competitive spirit really comes to fruition in those circumstances.
And to your point, he's rushed for like 29 first downs in play. And they have Cook as their primary guy. So they talk about run games. It's Cook, but it's also Josh Allen. He's involved in both.
There's no question. Their quarterback sneak game is good in short yardage circumstances and open grass. Is good in the tight red zone because he's so strong and talented. But I don't want to be disrespectful to what Cook's doing. He's almost got 1,100 yards. He's about 4 per carry. He's number 2 in the league. He is a nuts and bolts central component of their running game. And probably a guy that doesn't get a lot of recognition is Reggie Gilliam, their fullback. He's a veteran out of University of Toledo. He's got a lot to do with a lot of that. And particularly in today's game, fullbacks don't get recognized a lot. And as a football lover and historian, I just wanted to mention that.
You got to get those fullbacks involved. Yeah, they do a good job. What about their tight ends? You guys have faced some pretty good tight ends. They have 2 of them on their roster, and they have another one who's a blocking tight end. So those guys are primary targets. Who does the responsibility fall on those tight ends?
You know, not only with their tight ends, and as you mentioned, they have a diverse and very talented group, but just their receiver core as a collective. Man, they got a lot of guys that are capable. They divide the labor up very well. Josh Allen spreads the ball around to a lot of people. 10 inside is a dynamic slot receiver. They just have a lot of options. It seems like they're not beholden to any of them, and that really makes them a tough nut to crack because of the way they spread the ball around.
Defensively, Cole Bishop was one of their top picks a few years ago. He's a guy who has 3 interceptions. He also is their leading tackler. What has he brought to their defense to complement some of the guys they have up front?
Just exactly what you mentioned, his unbelievable versatility. I think he's got 3 sacks that you didn't mention. And so here's a guy that's registering tackle numbers. He's their leader in interceptions. He's also contributed 3 sacks. He's a first, second, and third down blitzer. They use him on first and second down to minimize your running game. He shows up in passing circumstances to apply pressure to your quarterback. He's a good and versatile player. We did a lot of work on him when he came out of Utah, interviewed him twice. Really impressive young man. He's got a great relationship with the game of football, really instinctual and smart. And I think certainly that showed up in his play.
One of the things, vulnerability-wise on their defense, they've given up 17 rushing touchdowns and 150 yards a game. Is that an indication of where you should attack their team in the run game?
I think that's the way they choose to allow you to attack, to be quite honest with you. I think they're 30th versus the run. They're first versus the pass. Their schematics, they play a lot of split safeties. They play a lot of sub-package football. Johnson, their nickel, is experienced and versatile, a good run fitter. And so oftentimes it doesn't matter what offensive personnel group you put out there, they play out of nickel. And so when you do that, sometimes people are going to run the ball on you. I think they're comfortable with that. They've been comfortable with that for years. What they do is minimize chunks in the passing game and passing yards in general. And I think that's what gives them a real good shot to be an impactful defense, particularly in those moments. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, this is a continuity group. A lot of those guys have, been drafted and developed there, been there a lot of years. Some of those guys are second time around guys. Poyer's back for his second time around. Tre'Davious White has back for his second time around. I think it's real value in that continuity. They got a turnover culture. Over the last 3 years, they're #1 in the NFL in terms of takeaways. You back it back 2 more years over the last 5 years, they're #1 in the NFL in terms of defensive takeaways. And I think it speaks to that continuity, their commitment to minimizing chunks in the passing game, making you earn it down in and down out, create more opportunities for them to create the splash that allows them to get off the field and get the ball.
It's going to be a big matchup. Thank you, Coach. When we come back, it's the always popular keys to the game. That's next, Missy. Back to you.
All right, Bob, thanks so much. We are looking forward to that. And Sunday will actually mark the first time during the regular season the Bills have come to Pittsburgh since 2019. Duck Hodges was the Steelers quarterback that game, and Buffalo went home with a 17-10 win. So how can the black and gold make sure that doesn't happen again? Merril Hoge draws up his latest playbook on how Josh Allen and the Bills offense likes to attack opponents at every level. That's coming up next.
Welcome back to the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show.
Show off your black and gold knowledge with Immaculate Prediction, the Steelers predictive game that gives you a chance to win some great prizes. Here's one of the Week 13 questions. Will Pat Freiermuth record a touchdown against the Bills? Yes or no? Just head to the Steelers mobile app now to compete for this week's first place prize, a jersey autographed by number 88 himself. Good luck. Well, stopping Josh Allen is no easy feat, whether it's in the air or on the ground. And for the Pittsburgh Steelers, they are 1-4 against the Bills QB. Merril Hoge has more in this week's playbook about Allen and how quickly he can dissect opposing defenses.
Hi, everyone. Welcome into the UPMC Rooney Sports Complex for the Playbook presented by Microsoft Copilot. All right, the Buffalo Bills. I mean, their offense is lethal in a variety of ways. Running game, their quarterback. But their passing game, they attack all 3 phases. Short, intermediate, vertical. And then you got to add the quarterback's ability to run as also a concern. But I want to show you a play. They do this like 3 or 4 times a game, and it shows you how they can attack all levels of your coverage, especially when you're in zone, and how it creates voids. So as we snap the ball, at the very top of the screen, focus at the receiver there. He runs a deep post. Now this deep post, as you stop it here, he's taking the safety and really kind of holding the other safety because of his angle. Underneath you have a tight end that sat down. You got a flare at the left, and the bottom here you got another route combination. The middle of the field is wide open. Now, Josh attempts to throw the post. He misses it. But this is why they go to the sideline and they look at tape like this during the game. Because this is the 4th quarter. They come back to it again. This time, at the very top of the screen, it's going to be a deep post. Underneath, they're going to hold the coverage. And then they're going to create a void in the middle of the field. This time, Josh is going to throw it. So as we snap the ball, you're going to see the burden it puts on your coverage. Because everybody's looking forward, so you can't blame the linebackers for jumping on the running back here at the bottom in the middle of the screen. The post is going to carry the deep safeties, and now what do you have? You have a wide open middle of the field where 13 is going to run a dig route, and now this time Josh Allen finds him for chunks of yards. You know, how do you go about handling these type of things? This is where, like, getting pressure on the quarterback would be your answer. You know, trying to sack him, not allowing him to have time. But then you have the danger of him running the football. It's understanding your depths, you know, and your spacing and your zone coverage that is so important in trying to handle these type of things. But they are professional players going to make some of these plays, but it just shows you some of the concerns that you have when you play the Buffalo Bills in their passing game.
And make sure you check out all of Merril's playbooks on the team's official YouTube page. Well, the Steelers' grasp of the top spot in the AFC North quickly evaporated in Chicago. Baltimore jumped Pittsburgh for first place following Week 12, and now the Steelers and the Bills are both in second of their respective divisions. For much more on what to expect on Sunday, it's time for Keys to the Game presented by your neighborhood Ford store. Let's send it over one final time to Bob and Coach.
All right, Missy, thank you. This is a big matchup. Buffalo comes to town, 425 on KDKA. Should be outstanding. Coach, let's talk about what you have to do to prevail in this game, because it's going to be one of those games that you look back on and say, this is a key matchup, and it could determine a lot of things moving forward.
Yeah, time of possession is big. We got to minimize our exposure to Josh Allen. How do you do that? We got to be good on possession downs on defense, but we also got to be good on possession downs on offense. And a component of that is being in very manageable possession downs. Last week we talked about the Bears, for instance, were second in the league in third down conversions. We talked about how important was it for us to be in third and manageable. I think we had 7 or so third down and 3 or less situations in that game, and I think we converted 6 of the 7. And so that's how you stay on the field. That's how you possess the ball. I think we had 34 minutes or something time of possession a week ago. That's a formula in terms of keeping pace with this group, minimizing our exposure to Josh Allen, putting ourselves in an advantageous position to determine the significant moments in the latter stages of the game.
Broderick Jones won't play. Who takes his place, and how impactful must that person be in that position?
Thankfully, we have 2 veteran backup offensive linemen in Pete and Calvin, and both guys are really capable. Calvin's always done a nice job for us, being able to step up in a moment's notice. And Pete is a guy that we're really excited about having because of his resume, his experience. He's been a global starter, a wide starter. He was drafted in the first round. He's got that pedigree. And I'd imagine in some combination or another, we're going to need both moving forward down the stretch.
All the best to you this Sunday.
Thank
you very much. Coach Mike Tomlin, that's going to wrap up our 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show. It's the Bills and Steelers tomorrow, 425. We'll get you started at 11:30 a.m. All day football on KDK. That's going to do it for Mike Tomlin and Missy Matthews. I'm Bob Pompeani. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.